Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom. We have a lot to talk about, and we're going to get into it with Matt Derrick today and talk about some of the positionless football that the Chiefs have been drifting towards in their three safety sets, but seems to be catching on across the league, and take a look at what that means for the rest of the run-up to the draft, both at the deep positions as well as the linebacker position. He's got some interesting thoughts, and I kind of saved this piece for today on a Sunday where everybody could see it. But first, the Chiefs have made an acquisition that I think actually caught me by surprise, and I wanted to talk to you about it a little bit. If you're new to the channel, make sure you click the like and the sub and the bell notification. Hit those right now so you know what comes next. I'll do the hour-long Q&A tomorrow night on Monday, but starting the hour earlier. It's going to be 6 o'clock Central, Arrowhead time. So just moving it up a little bit. And that's just due to some family stuff, I have more responsibilities that I have to get back to now that COVID's easing a few things. We have some sports competitions and things for my family, so I need a little bit more free time on Monday nights later rather than earlier. So we'll do that. Make sure you don't miss that. We'll have all kinds of questions, but I'm pretty excited because I honestly thought after the retirement and the fashionable way that he announced it, that Anthony Sherman was going to be the last fullback that the Chiefs actually had on the roster for a while. I thought this was going to be an attempt to move towards more of the nebulous guy that can play the H, that can play tight end 2, that can then come in and get into the backfield when they really need a fullback. I think, honestly, other than the game in Denver, 2 seasons ago, where Anthony had to carry the ball quite a bit because everybody got hurt, I think it's been used so sparingly that it's drifted towards really the fullback is a special teams position at this point. He'll come in, and honestly, I think the thing that Anthony did best, he caught the smoked sausage touchdown, but I think the thing that on offense in particular that he was critical for was being that H-back, that second tight end that could come in and get a good block. It's not the lead fullback blocking thing in Andy Reid's offense anymore. It just isn't. And so I honestly thought that they were going to go without. But they did go out and sign Michael Burton, formerly of the New Orleans Saints. And in doing so, they got a little bit younger, and more power to him. Not a lot. He's 29 years old. So for an NFL player, particularly a running back, he is towards the top end anyway, but he's a few years younger than Anthony. And he had 13 touches in 2020. So that gives you an idea about how much he was used as well. And certainly that's something that I don't think the Chiefs are looking to expand drastically, but it's nice to see them have one in-house if they need it. And it doesn't guarantee that he's going to make the roster. I think that he most likely will, but it's not 100%. But here's the thing. He's a core special teamer. He'll do the role that Anthony used to do, in that the fullback has to be a special teams player, and honestly, I think needs to grow into a special teams leadership position as well. So you will see him on the field for that. Whether he can get some time in the offense, running routes out of the backfield, maybe a little bit of lead block. I do expect to see him a little bit over at the H as well, very similar to what Anthony did. But I do think that an H-back type is still in the offing for the draft. And I think that isn't something that you want to go out and get in free agency, but in the draft, I think it's perfectly legit. So I do expect that may be a way that they can expand the offense in the box, knowing that they're most likely to get a lot of light boxes, where you can get an H-back tight end body on a safety. And I think that's going to be a recipe for success. I hope that's the direction that they're leaning. We'll know more about it when we hear from Andy Reid, most likely just after the draft. I don't think we'll hear from him before then. I'd love to be surprised. But that said, let's get over and finish my conversation with Matt. I want you guys to hear his thoughts on this positionless concept. Again, like, sub, hit the bell. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Welcome back to RGR Football. This is Matt Derrick. I'm Ryan Tracy, and we're hanging out because things have finally started to change. What an idea, right? Overall, what that does in this depth up front, and whether they sign another edge rusher or not, we'll see what happens. Could even be a draft prospect come in there that maybe can be a designated pass rusher as well. But by building up the front like they've done on both sides of the ball, I think this allows them more flexibility in the back, but I also think it hopefully allows them to collapse pockets faster and protect the guys in the back as well. Do you agree, or do you think this is just getting to the quarterback and getting hits?
No, I think you're right. And to me, the way that they've gone about building this roster is probably just more reflective of the fact that we need to think differently about defensive alignments and schemes, then we kind of, even with all of the advanced analytics, and we talk, and some teams with the positionless defenses that you talk about, we still get stuck into the whole 4-3 alignments and what things look like. Notable that the Chiefs have done basically nothing to upgrade the linebacker position, and they have put a lot of effort in upgrading the defensive line and the secondary, with bringing back Dan Sorensen, obviously a key piece. They're going to have their top safeties all coming back. They haven't gone out and invested a lot at the corner spot. I still think there's a reasonable chance that Bashad Breeland is back. And obviously they spent some draft picks last year on the corner spot. But, this is a team that still, to me, I mean, if they're going to go out and start playing, regardless of the opponent in week one, I mean, I think you're still going to see a lot of 5 and 6 defensive back sets, because that's where the game is going. I mean, that's where you really have to do to defend offenses in this league these days. And you have to have that beef up front and that ability to get the passer from your front four, because if you can't do that, it doesn't really matter who you have on the backside. So the Chiefs want to get rusher with 4. They know they have to be able to defend with 5 or 6. And yeah, there's going to be a couple of linebackers on the field. And, in the Chiefs case, I think they really hope that that's like an Anthony Hitchens and a Willie Gay, and that they're in great spot next year.
It's interesting that those two in particular are going to carry over. We haven't heard any rumblings about any other free agent linebacker things. What we do hear rumblings about are the other priority position on the offensive side. They still don't have a left tackle right now as we speak, unless we're talking about Yasser Durant making a switch, and et cetera, et cetera. That's still got to be a priority before they get to draft day, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't see the starting left tackle still on this roster right now. I mean, notable that even when Mike Remmers re-signed, I mean, his agent promoted that he's the starting right tackle. So it wasn't even like making claims that Mike Remmers is going to be your left tackle. The expectation is that he's going to be starting on the right side. So if you were to line up right now, who's your left tackle? I mean, is it Martinez Rankin? Is it Lucas Niang with all of his 0 games of experience? There are still obviously 3 options for the Chiefs to address that spot. One's the draft, one is free agency, where there are a couple of names still out there that could certainly at least be a bridge to the future, whether that future is the second half of the season or 22. And third is trade. And we haven't heard a lot of smoke on the trade front, but you can't rule it out. And I would expect there probably be a little bit more smoke heading up to the draft, that maybe that's where some of the rumor mill is, that teams will connect the Chiefs with some tackles and certainly they have a little bit of draft currency to make a move if they want to.
Mm-hmm. I hope that they do. I think that that's something that could help the team overall, and whether it's one or the other, I still think it has to be both in my opinion, but it is what it is. That said, I think this has been fun, and I'm glad that you had the time to jump in here. Thanks for it.
Absolutely, Ryan. It was great talking to you.
We try to do these things in a rush when things happen. So, I'll try to get this up pretty quickly so that it doesn't date too well. But folks, ChiefsDigest.com is where you need to go for all the real information that we're not just jabbering about. And I think we'll grab you again here later in the week and see what else happens, because I think they're going to be more active. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still some bargains to be had out there. So I do think that there's going to be a few more moves, maybe even some names coming back. Some things are still going to be late. I mean, especially because, we still don't know what the offseason program is going to look like, whether it's, virtual or not. So we'll see. I mean, and frankly, honestly, I mean, free agency is going to continue up through May, June, and even into July.
It's all coming down, and we'll have more for you here. Make sure you like, sub, and hit the bell notification. Thanks for watching us today, and we'll catch you next time.